So today we had this, nugget of an news item. I love stories like this because what ends up happening is that, like, a small thing, like, is illustrative of, it's a microcosm of the larger problem. So you have PIA owing Iran just a little over $500,000 for the use of their airspace. Now, because we haven't made this payment, essentially more than half of our flights, I think about 2/3 to 3/4 of our flights, can't pass over Iranian airspace and have to go through more expensive airspace in the Gulf Arab states. This really is to me, a symptom of the larger disease in Pakistan, that is state-run enterprises. What ends up happening is these companies are loaded up with political appointees, and I'm not talking about just at the management level, I'm talking about thousands upon thousands of employees at the lower level. And then what ends up also happening, because the government is such a control freak, that everything ends up getting centralized. So you've got two problems. One, it's a bloated organization, has way too many people. And secondly, despite having too many people, hardly any of them have any actual authority. So what ends up happening is that no problems actually get resolved unless they blow up in the organization's face. This is something that's just endemic completely throughout the state-run enterprises, and as a result, we end up bailing them out, and there's dozens upon dozens of these companies that we end up bailing out. PIA and the railways are some of the bigger ones, but we end up bailing all of them out because to the tune of something like 300 billion rupees. If we didn't have that, we'd still have a budget deficit, but it would be much more manageable. We'd be achieving all of our targets for budget deficits. We wouldn't have to go to the IMF. We wouldn't have to go to all of those international lenders, and we'd actually be able to finance our own government and our own development programs rather than having to cut them back every year because we just can't afford them. Because instead of having to bail these companies out, we'd rather be, we'd be building highways and railroads and our own infrastructure. So to me, this is really this $500,000 is symptomatic of the larger disease that we have, that is state-run enterprises, and I really fail to understand why we have this 1950s mentality that the state somehow needs to control everything. We really don't. We need to stop being control freaks and let go.